shower things. I just forgot all about it. And all of a sudden they're buzzing up. I'm like, no, I got to get on this hangout. Let's just dig into the hangout. It's more important.
All right. So we're live. So we had a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're ready to go. We have Curtis tonight. Super excited about that, and I'm very, very happy to see his smiling face. And so you are still in
Hong Kong. So see, tonight is a relative thing because it's only about a little after 10 o'clock in the morning here.
Oh, so you're just getting ready, just getting jazzed up. Yeah. So we're actually going to do a little bit of method of operation tonight. And so one of the things that in part of the method of operation is going to be, you know, getting prepared for getting events on the calendar. So I just want to touch base on that really quick. So we have people that are preparing for Diamond Club, and that will start in August, right, Karina? August?
Yes. Yes.
So if you're a Diamond Clubber, we've got some really good training videos out there. We actually, last week, Karina and Tracy did a training video on how to prepare for Diamond Club, so that was really powerful. Tracy did really, really good in Diamond Club, so if you're a Diamond Clubber, I highly recommend that you take some time and watch that. If you are not a Diamond Clubber and you have a leader that is doing Diamond Club, by all means, please reach out to your leader and see where you can support them, because this is not just something that's going to help your leader that is doing Diamond Club. This ultimately is going to be what helps you, and it's going to propel you forward, and it's really, really powerful. And then we also have convention coming up, which I was going to mention to you, Curtis, before we get going. Are we going to see you skydiving with us?
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I think that due to some trainings, I'm going to have to be here in Hong Kong. So,
no.
Yeah, I know. That weekend became a conflict weekend, and so unfortunately, I'm going to have to be over here. But I'm actually going to be back. I'm going to be back in the States. I'm actually flying out here in about 4 hours, and then I'll be back in the States for about 3 weeks. I was almost thinking my schedule is so packed, but there's some drop zones around Dallas. I was actually probably just going to go see if I can find a drop zone, go jump, get a camera shot, and then send it to you guys. Say, okay, I kind of, you can save it for the event and say, okay, here was Curtis skydiving in spirit with us. He just did it a little bit early. So
I would love that. That'd be awesome. That would be great.
If I can't do it this trip, then I'll do it because you guys are going to go on September 8th, right?
Uh-huh.
So if I can work it in, I'm going to try and see if I can rearrange schedules so I can get in this trip. If I'm not able to do it, I'll be back again October 9th through the 21st, and I'll do it then. So I might have to do it post. So you guys already had your jump. I'll say, well, here's my jump. Here, I'll send it back to you. So yeah, so I'd love to get some airtime with you guys, but unfortunately that weekend it just has popped. When we first talked about this, we didn't have any of this schedule going on, and now of course it's just out of control. So
right. Well, next year.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. Because then what? Yeah, not a problem. We can get everything around it. Well, you guys are gonna have a blast. You guys are gonna love it. So, when's your convention event this year?
It is September 9th. September 12th. Yeah.
9th
the
12th.
12th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And we had talked about it. In fact, we talked before we got started. One of the things that has just come up a lot with some of the teams that we worked with over the last couple of weeks is, we've talked, and we had talked about it. It's about having enough belief and what belief really represents. It's not something you think, it's something you become. It's who you are. But the question is, when someone walks that path, you don't just come in on day one and you embody belief. You are an embodiment thereof. It's a process, and that's what I love about working with this team. Because Romy is a dude. I mean, you really are. You have worked together. You represent a real, true snapshot of what the path can be like. You guys have been a part of the Terra for, I guess, coming up on 4 years now. I'm a little over 4 years, and everybody knows your story. When you started, you had no belief that what you were hearing was possible. You thought maybe you could make a few $100, maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000 a month, and that was the limitation of your belief. Or what you could see. But the reason that you are where you are today is today you no longer believe. It's not. I mean, it's not something I think. I believe is something I think of. It's not. It's just what you overcome. True success is when true belief is who you are. It's not something you think about. It's not something you have to rethink about. It's not something you have to recharge. It is, you are so certain that this is such a perfect, ideal path when walked properly, that there is a certainty in your presence, and there's a way that people perceive. They can see it in the way you look, they see it here in the tone of your voice, they can see it just in the way you stand and roots, and it's just magnetically attractive. So the question is, how do you take a brand new person? What is that path? Because I've known people who make a lot of money and have been in this profession for a very long time, work a lot of hours every day, much less every week, and they still don't truly believe. They're, in fact, you can see in how hard they're working to create the result. And it's not that it requires hard work, but they're working at it in such a way that you can tell they're still trying to overcome that there's that little bitty thing in the back of their head. Still makes them think, maybe not. And so the question is, what do you do when you get a brand new person who has no belief at all? They have no experience, they've got no perspective. It's a long path. Well, the path length varies for different people. When that moment happens, there's a difference when someone really thinks they believe, but then when somebody embodies it. How do you get them from here to there? How do you get that person to walk along that path? And where it starts really, it starts in the very pragmatic, functional space. A brand new person, and by the way, the reason I talk about brand new people is people who have a lot of experience we don't have to worry about. People who have had success before, obviously, we don't have to worry about. They're still on their path, but they've really chosen the profession. People who may have been in 2 or 3 companies, but they never really broke through, but they've now found Terra and Romiz Rockstar team. But it just means they at least believe in the embodiment of the concept. They've just never been able to have their breakthrough. And so, the embodiment of the concept is great for them. They've just never been able to break through. And so they're okay, though, because they believe enough in the concept. They're still sticking around. The question is, who do you build? You need to build everything for a brand new person who's making it for the very first time. Because they're the newborn baby, they represent the future of the family, like all newborn babies do. They're the most at risk, but the least capable of surviving without support and help. And the way that brand new people can truly walk the path to end up where Romy and Mark are, where Corinna is, where everybody is on this path, end up on this path so that one day, it's not that you really don't become that real top tier leader and then you become the lead for the embodiment of it. You really got to get there first before you get to those real elite levels. But how does that happen? Here's the way it happens. It happens where there has been repetitive action, because things only happen through action. There is no inaction. There is no inactivity to success. It must be activity. And the key is for a brand new person is not to waste time learning everything before you do something. Because where network marketing, where our profession differs from the traditional path people are used to. See, network marketing done properly is truly, the example of a family of newborn babies is a perfect example. That's the way it should be done. Babies don't remain mute and soundless for 15 years studying very carefully the linguistics noises of those around them, and at the age of 15 open their mouth for the first time to utter an audible sound speaking fluently. It doesn't happen that way. They just engage in activity. From the day they're born, they're making noises, and they're even shocked that noise comes out of their mouth. It surprises them sometimes as they make noise, but they are around people who are speaking fluently. And being in the presence of those who are speaking fluently, they learn to make more and more noises. And it's literally a baby's continuing process of making so many noises that all of a sudden they begin to realize they can control the noise. And all of a sudden they can do this with their mouth and it makes that noise. They still haven't formed a word, but they're beginning to realize they can form selective noise until all of a sudden they have heard things around them until they finally say ma, ma, da, da. Well, now that was an intentionally formed noise, and then all of a sudden by age 5 they're speaking and you never get them to shut up. That's how people, they don't learn then do. Yet ironically, when we put people in the educational systems, in more formal educational systems, we begin to ingrain in them, you must learn first, do second. And that's the entire educational process. Let's learn this, do that. Let's learn this, take a test. Let's learn this, you have to learn the subject, then you're qualified to execute the activity. Let's teach you the job first, now you can go do the job. And so by the time we reach the age of 20, we have been retrained to think that that education has to be first, and knowledge has to come first, and activity has to come second. And if you do that in network marketing, you're going to fail. So let me just be crystal clear and say that again. If you believe you need to understand all the repair oral products, you need to understand the comp plan, you need to understand all that before you go into activity, you're going to fail. So why don't you just reef under, enjoy the oils, but get out of the business and stop wasting time? Because why would you want to intentionally move on a path to failure? Because you're already on it. So just stop it. You need to go into activity. Because children don't watch people walk and at the age 15 stand up and go run and win, a race. They engage in activity, trying to sit up and then rolling back down, sitting up until they can sit up, and they can crawl, and then they can crawl and pull themselves up and stand there wobbly and fall down, stand there wobbly until they can stand firmly, but they can't walk. They engage in activity. So it is through activity that they gain knowledge. That's network marketing. So the key is we have to build a method of operation that puts a new person instantly into activity without any exceptional training of any kind whatsoever that can create a result that is a positive, desired result. Why? Because so now they can take a second step where we want them to continue an activity that creates a positive result where now they can move. So here's the point. The point is, let's talk about daily methods of operation, DMOs. Everybody has different schedules when they get started, and by and large, the vast majority of brand new people start part-time. Because that's just the way life is. They've already got other things they're doing, and they need to supplement. You were doing other things, Romy, and you needed to figure out a way to overcome your financial circumstances, but you couldn't just dump all this and go do that. Mark did. In fact, Mark just retired in the last year. And so it's been an evolutionary process over the last 3 years now, and we're here. And so what you did is you had to figure out, though, I've got to set aside some time. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be 8, 10 hours a week. A couple hours a day, 3, 4, 5 hours, 5 days a week. But it has to be consistent. And it needs to be action hours. Because the only way to be successful in network marketing, I've always said, is you have to be full-time. That's not quantity of hours, that's quality of hours. I don't care if it's 8 hours a week, it has to be a full-time hours. So that make your preparation beforehand. But my 8 hours can't be a few hours of thinking about what I'm going to do, a couple hours of almost doing it, a few hours of thinking about what I almost did. It needs to be 8 effective action hours. So what do? You need to schedule it. How do you schedule your normal life? Well, I go to work at 8, go home at 5, or whatever it is. I schedule my life. Well, schedule your business, even if it's a part-time thing. Keeping in mind, first and foremost, it needs to be fun. This is a hoot and a holler if you do this right. So stop, this isn't brain surgery. Nobody's got cancer here. Chill out. Back off a second. In terms of you're starting a business, you didn't just end your life. You began one that should be hysterically fun the entire time. So lighten up, first of all. But be serious enough about it with good spirit and a servant heart and a desire to serve others. Be serious enough to schedule it. If it's not written down, it doesn't exist. Put on a schedule. So these are the 2 hours I have on this day, this day, this day, this day, and this day. That's my 8 hours. So great. Then you can coordinate with your leadership. Then what is the best way to execute these hours? Because 2 hours on a Monday is different than 2 hours on a Thursday. Because Thursdays there's a local opportunity meeting, and Mondays there's not. So if somebody's not available on Thursday, they're not going to that local opportunity meeting. They got to do something else. So the key is, first of all, what is the schedule that I have? What is the time I'm absolutely, without hesitation, I'm never going to second guess it unless it's truly an emergency. Somebody's in a car wreck or I broke my leg. I'm not going to miss it. It's kind of like I go to work, right? Because that's when I'm supposed to be at work. And I don't make excuses. I just go. And so unless I'm really deathly ill or I was in a car wreck, I'm at work. Well, this needs to be the same thing. Be there with a fun, servant heart. Don't do that. Here's where daily methods of operation come in. It's a culture. This is who we are at Romiz Rockstar. Here's who we are. Or if you're working with me, Romy, here's my process. Now by the time someone gets to be Blue Diamond, they've got multiple leaders on their team, and different leaders may have different nuances because everybody, you're bringing your personality to the business. One of the ways you're successful is you attract people who are attracted to you. So there may be nuances, but when you're brand new, you don't have the expertise to decide you're going to add the nuance. Don't. You want to follow with precision. If the person who brought you in, they're new, great. Grab them by the hand. The two of you go find the next one. The person who brought them when they're new, great. The three of you grab hand. None of you should be helping each other. You should be thank each other as you got in. None of you know what you're doing. And you move up until you find that person who's in that evolved state of leadership. It doesn't have to be a lot, but they can be a couple of ranks up, 2 or 3 ranks up, and they can begin the process. But you move all the way through because you'll find this culture of a team from more of the top tier performing leadership to mid-level leadership, emerging leadership to the brand newbies. And this team will have a personality. It will have a process. For example, what is the #1 way we've always said that you should get people started? Hot market. Why? It requires no education whatsoever. It is a natural human behavior. And literally 100% of the people who will follow that process exactly as it's laid out will have success 100% of the time. Now, one person to create 10 trial consumers may need to talk to 15 people, and another person may have to talk to 35. Oh well, so what? You follow the process exactly. You will have your 10 trial consumers. You'll do that. There's no way to avoid it. The only way to avoid it is to vary the system, not follow it precisely, try to embellish it, try to expand on it when you're not qualified to do that. Why do we do things like that? Or why is there that first action step? Simple. It's not designed to get you wealthy because it can't. There is no direct effort that creates wealth. It's leveraged effort that creates wealth. Leveraged effort means if you're putting in 10 hours a week, but you have 1,000 people on your team putting in 10 hours towards your benefit. That's called time leverage. You're still only putting in 10 hours a week, but you're able to stumble through and get the process. The team one day, it's only 10 hours a week, and that's all you ever put in. It may take you a few years, but one day you have 1,000 people on the team. That's 10,000 hours of effort per week supporting you. That's pretty good leverage time. My point is this: it's got to start with activity. And what we want is we need a data method of operation so that every new person starts the same way. And then they know what the second step is. Second step, great. Hot market instantly. Why? Because it's an action step that can create an immediate positive result. The positive result doesn't make you wealthy. The positive result makes you confident. Wow, these people didn't set me up to fail. They didn't set me up to look stupid, and they didn't ask me to do something that was complicated. I'm a newborn baby. Let me do something that was very simple. I didn't know if it was going to be easy. It almost seemed a little intimidating. It was leaving a little uncomfortable, but after I made a couple of calls or sent a couple of texts, oh my gosh, this is actually kind of fun. Holy cow, they were right. I can enjoy myself. And I kind of laughed through the next 48 texts I sent, or the next 12 phone calls I made, or whatever it was. I had a good time. They didn't set me up to feel like an idiot, and I did accomplish a positive result. Wow, I can trust these people. I liked them to begin with. That's why I was attracted to them, but I was still a little uncertain, and I was just hopeful. I was hoping they told me the truth, and hoping they didn't mislead me. I was hoping I could do what they said they knew I could do, but I didn't know if I could. But now I can trust them because, gee, I did what they said. I achieved a positive result. Wow, this is good. Okay, what's the next step? And so what is that process of operation? Next step, schedule that doTERRA, the party or the education, the OL education class. Why? Because you don't have to be the educator. If you're really going to go at it and you notify and if you make yourself known, a brand new person, when children need something, what do? They scream their head off. Newborn babies, they're hungry. There's no doubt that you know exactly when they're hungry because they start bawling their head off and making a whole lot of noise instantly. They don't wait till it's convenient. When you get off the phone call, they just go banana crackers. Well, that's what new people should do. Act like newborn babies. Don't act like adults who've been trained. Learn first, do second, stand in line. Make yourself known. If you've chosen to go and you're brand new, notify everybody and keep going up until you find someone and say clearly, I've only got 8 hours a week, but it's going to be a deadly serious 8 hours a week because I'm going to move myself into a position where I can be 15 hours a week. I'm going to move myself into a position where I can be 30 hours a week, have a great deal of fun, taking control of my financial destiny and my financial future to where I can be 50 hours a week, leave the job behind because I want to change my whole future and change generational wealth. And I know I just got started 10 minutes ago, but I want to make that known. Why? Because that's my hunger. That's what I'm hungry for. So I'm screaming out loud, and I want to know, if I go, are you willing to guide and lead? At which point they'll say, absolutely we will. So when you put together that first event, do you have to stop and study every single oil? No, of course not, because you'll find someone in the upline who is willing, either physically or they'll come in like this. Great. Bring the folks in, play this video, do that thing, bring me in on a Skype video or a hangout like this, and let me do the oil class live. Can't be there in person, but I can sit here like this and I say, okay, everybody got this oil? Great. All right, let's. So through Skype video conferences, through FaceTime, through Zoom conferences, through whatever, there's a billion free services out there like this. This is where you're a leader, an expert could be there even if you just got 20 people sitting in the living room watching somebody on TV, waving at them like I'm waving at you from Hong Kong. Trust me, I'm waving from Hong Kong. Romy and Mark, I have no idea where in the world they are, you know. Brenda's at least she's the person with common sense. She's sitting in the house and she's doing, you know, she's a smart person, so she's at least stable. We're wacky and all over the planet. She's the consistent person. You probably find her. You have no idea where we're going to be. But the point is, it doesn't make any difference where we are because these days, if you make it known. So step number one, you do hot market. Why? It builds that confidence. Step number two, you schedule that event. Why? Because even if you're not going to be a party education class person, why must you do that first one? And I don't care if you were a former, you know, hedge fund manager of a multi-bazillion-dollar fund, things just went upside down, or you just, why do you do the first one? Because you are going to have one day, if you're going to go Generation World, thousands and maybe one day tens of thousands of people in your team in various parts of the country and then ultimately maybe even the world, who that is what they do. And if you've never done one, how would you ever be able to lead them? So if your objectives are smaller at first, do them because they'll help you accomplish your smaller objective. Romy only had a small objective when she started. It wasn't until she actually got to 2,000 months she thought, well, maybe I could do it. Until she got to 4 or 5, well, maybe I could do it. So now she knows there's no limit. She didn't know that on day one. It was a sequential process. But if you have a big vision on day one, understand you don't get there. It's by time and leverage. So step number two is then schedule that event instantly. Invite over 10, 15, 12, 8, 25, whatever you can get. And work with the upline. You don't have to learn first and do second. Schedule it now. As Eric Corey says in his GoPro training, the true power players in the world, they say yes, they tell the world, and then they figure it out. Why? Get it on a calendar, trust and believe you'll make it happen. Which means now you don't have to be the expert. Bring that person in, they'll come into your home and do it with you, they'll do it for you, you'll watch them, you'll learn. Then what do? You go to the next step. What is the next step? I've got these 2 success events. I have 2 successful personal success stories. I have my hot market story where within an hour or 2 hours of effort just via text, I got 10 or 12 or 15 people consuming my product as trial consumers. Holy cow, what a great success to have coming out the gate. I'm getting great feedback from them. I'm learning and understanding the consumer experience. I scheduled an event 4 days later. I made it happen, invited everybody over, bribed them with cookies and donuts and soft drinks, but they still came over and showed up with a sugar rush while I then had a hangout and had somebody come in and walk through the whole sequence of oils. I just sat there and watched, kind of learned some things just listening, and when it was all done, they stayed with me on the hangout, handed out order forms, everybody bought, some people said they'd scheduled a party, and all of a sudden, gee, that's a success story. None of this was complicated. It all fits within my 8 hours a week. It worked really well. And what's the next process? Again, then I've gone through, I've created my list, and I've evaluated, and I've rated that list, or whatever those methods of operation are. Their purpose is not to make the daily methods of operation for getting brand new people started in business is not about creating huge financial impact. It's about building in people the understanding that it's just a simple process of steps repeated and then duplicated with others. A daily method of operation means here's what I do as I'm new, and here is my first week of effort, here's my second week, here's my third week, my fourth week, here's my second month, my third month, here's my 6th month. Here's what I do. I've got my calendar. I calendared. If I said I'll be available except in extraordinary circumstances or unique holidays or anniversaries, I will be available 2 hours on this day, this day, this day, and this day. Great. Then grab a physical calendar and literally write it out all the way out for an entire year, ignoring the Mondays that are a national holiday. Okay, let's blow off Labor Day, right? Just because we know that's the Monday, nobody's going to do anything. So I'll blow that one off. That's good. That's fair. But I scheduled it. When's the convention? Here's when it's going to be. When are the regions? Here's where they're going to be. So I've already pre-mentally scheduled my year. And then, now that I've got it, I follow the system. The reason we want to do that is because brand new people don't have belief. They have hope. They have uncertainty. We need to replace that with trust and confidence. And from the very first step, we keep it simple. So we're not going to talk here about how to market. Those are trainings we've already done. You can go back to the archive files and you can check those off. But the things that you do first, working with and identifying what is my daily method of operation, what are the things that I do on a consistent basis. You know, we've got another team, and they've got a quick little video that was put together that is just a high impact, fast, grab somebody's attention. Wow, that looked interesting. I might like to try that. It was just one of those. There was nothing complicated about it. It's just a 3 or 4 minute boom, pow, wow. And so they're running a thing that, you know, it's either like the 200-minute charge or blitz. And what it was, you know, it's either a 2-minute video to 100 people or a 4-minute video to 50 or whatever it is, but it was 2 a day. And it was 2 a day until you got 200 minutes of videos being watched. It's 200 minutes. Who can get there fastest? What are the prizes? And here's what you have to document. Here's what you do. Why? It's just an action step that people begin to realize. If I go into action, no matter how simple it is, if I do it consistently, what it allows you to do with consistent methods of operation, it allows you to take personal skill out of it. Because lack of personal skill is no longer a deterrent. If you want to become the deterrent, you need some pretty good skills. Here you don't. You need pretty good action. Because done properly, the operations are such that they're so simple, anyone is capable of doing it. The question is just, will they? And when you then get teams, entire groups of people moving in these consistent operational processes, the way you improve the success for everybody is you simply improve the process. You don't have to improve people. Because now it's a systematic process. It's not a personally created process. When you make things, when you leave it to people to do things on a personalized basis, what you do is you introduce all the nuances of every individual. That lose the consistency and the duplication. That's when things get really washy. That's when things people start hitting these plateaus, or they start bottoming out, or things start drifting downwards and upward. When you have really consistent processes that everybody follows, and most importantly, the new people, the brand new people have the greatest possible potential. Why? You can ask them, how many people talked to you about the Terra before you spoke to Romy or Corinna? Nobody. Well, the great news is that you are probably the first person in your close sphere of influence who has ever heard of it. So the great news is you have a wide open hunting range. I mean, it's like fish in a barrel. You are just like, oh. Because unless Romy or Corinna, who are close to you, unless they were the 48th person who's talked to you about it, the reality is nobody you know knows about it because they've already talked to you. So what it means is for a brand new person, if we can get them into those consistent actions, their personal skill or experience, previous experience, capability, irrelevant, because the process has been fine-tuned to create the greatest possible results in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort. Is the new one. That's why you don't even see the old video anymore. It's the most effective new tool. And as the newer one comes out that's even more effective, the one that you started with, you won't use anymore, you use the new one. Because if it's system-driven, if you've got a consistent method of operation, you can literally take fear and set it aside. And you can replace it with confidence, because my skill is irrelevant. I'm here to be a newborn baby. They know nothing, they don't do anything, they just make noise when they're hungry, and they just engage in activity and learn from the activity. Well, the difference is, though, we do have a precise method of operation so that if you'll just engage in the activity, you'll be engaging in the right activity, whether you knew that or not, you just ruled it. And then we can guide you to a faster result. See, here's the thing. There's a TED Talk out there, and the guy's name, looking at it last night, and it just went out of my head. I mentioned this to one of our other teams last week. Sorry. When we started this, I knew I was going to remember to talk about it at the end, and now I'm here at the end, and I forgot the guy's name. Anyway, you could go to YouTube, and you could search for TED, TED, or TEDx, TEDx. It was a TEDx conference, I think, but TEDx 20 hours to be good or something like that, and it'll come up. It's an interesting little talk. There was a book written. There's been this mantra in business circles or just in information circles about how long does it take to become an expert at something. And the number that was arrived at through various research was 10,000 hours. Well, to put that in perspective, 10,000 hours is a full-time job for 5 years. Full-time. So if someone were to say to become an expert like Eric Worre or like Martin Romiz, and to become an expert in network marketing, well, that's 10,000 hours. Okay, that's literally, let me quit my full-time job and go full-time, and 5 years from now I'll find me an expert. And so, in the individual who was giving the talk was talking about the fact that he was an author, he was kind of a creative thinker, he was a learner, he had a passion for just learning stuff, and they just had a new baby, and as soon as sleep deprivation set in after about 4 to 6 weeks of no sleep with the child, the baby was always letting them know that I'm never going to have time to learn anything ever again in my whole life because there's never going to be time. But then he started really analyzing that data, and he said, hang on a second. If you go back and find the actual research that had been adopted, now generally accepted to be an expert at anything, the original research was to be an expert elite athlete. It was 10,000 hours. In other words, if you wanted to be an Olympic champion, if you wanted to be an NBA champion or NFL champion, it was 10,000 hours. But the question became, do I really need to be that level of expertise, or would I just like to be good at something? And what he did is he went out and he started taking a look at what it took to be good. And it's 20 hours. It takes 20 hours to become good at something. Now, he prefaces it, so I recommend you go see the TED Talk. He said there's some things you have to do because you have to be prepared before you start with 28 hours. First of all, you have to identify that it's 20 functional hours executing the skill that you're attempting to be good at. So whether it's learning to play guitar, whether it's learning to speak the basic, a basic set of 300 words in a language to become mildly proficient, so you can actually go on vacation, something like that. He said, so you've got to do some things. One, you have to identify exactly what it's going to take. Two, you have to set aside all distractions. And three, this 20 hours, this is a pure, it's pure. If I want to become good at inviting people to parties, I need 20 hours of inviting, not preparing to invite. I only click the stopwatch when I'm actually talking to somebody, not while I'm listening to it ring. That doesn't count. Dialing numbers, listening to rings, that doesn't count. Because we've known how to do that. We're all experts at that. It's when they answer the phone, click it. And when they hang up the phone, click it. And you get 20 hours of actual invitation conversation to invite her to take a look, invite her to whatever. You do 20 hours of actual parties, you'll be good. May not be great, may not be an expert, but you'll be good. So the question becomes, if you look at that alone, if you combine all these thoughts we've just shared, brand new people are the most important. What's most important is go into action first and learn through activity. Do not learn first and go into activity second. Because the only people who will succeed at that are those who truly are exceptionally, independently, personally motivated. And that is not the masses. And we want as many people as possible to have the greatest chance for success. We can't make people successful, they make themselves successful. But we want to create an environment. Therefore, we need to create simple activities that do not require education for them to suddenly engage in the activity, so that through the successful result, it creates confidence, and the more activities they engage with getting positive results, so they can be simple and basic, the more their confidence grows. Because as confidence grows, then they'll give themselves more time to gain more skill. But if we put all this together and we realize that, guys, if it's only 20 hours to be good, and if you look at it, there's, Eric talks about the fact there are 7 key skills. Well, tie these two together, what it's saying is if you take Eric's Go Pro, the 7 skills for a professional marketer, and to be good at any of them, if you take this other philosophy that if you really set aside all distractions and say, I'm going to put in 20 pure, actual, really focused hours in each of those 7, that's 140 hours. Not 10,000, that's 140 hours total. That's 3 full-time weeks of effort. Well, if I spread 3 full-time weeks of effort over a year, all of a sudden, in my 5 to 8 hours a week, in a year, I can be good at all 7. Now do you understand how Romy and Mark were able to accomplish what they've been able to accomplish the first time they've ever done network marketing, the first time their first company, they're a one-and-done group. This is a one-and-done team. They didn't have math, they came from one company, fell in love with it, found what they wanted, had no belief, minimal belief, they only achieved minimal results, but they engaged in activity, and they stayed with it long enough. And now they've reached that elite level, but their process was they got to good. And here's what it really breaks. So whether they knew it or not, the reality is all of these research things and all these things that come together have said there's 7 key skills, but you don't need them all to get started because you can start without even reading the book Go Pro to engage in hot market. Because what we just taught you is you if you get activity, not learn and then take action. I will take action and learn from the action, but I'll follow this precision sequence of steps that the leadership has outlined for me. And then at the same time, now knowing, if I just watch this TED Talk, I go, hang on a second, I get it. As I engage in these activities, it's also good to put additional knowledge in my head. So now I go look at something on Go Pro that says to truly become a master professional networker, there are 7 key skills. Great. And if I do 7 of them, in 20 hours I can become good, well then in 140, if I follow this, and along the way, I'm adding these 140 hours, and if I take my first year, people are willing to give up 4 years of their life to simply go to an institution where when they're done, they're taught how to work for somebody else for their dreams, to be told what they're worth, and when they get to go to the bathroom and when they get to go eat, whether they're hungry or not. So you're willing to spend a lot of money and take 4 years to become a servant for someone else's dream, and you don't think that it's worthwhile to spend a year becoming really good so that in 4 years you can become Romy and Mark and do anything you want, whenever you want, wherever you want to do it from? Okay, well then do it faster than they did, I guess. That's the point. So if you put these things in perspective, guys, here's the thing. Step back in the basics. Go down to the brand new people in the team and ask yourself as a team, our daily method of operation, let's always go back to the basics. Vince Lombardi, recognized one of the greatest football coaches, Green Bay Packers, all their initial championship teams, and he was famous that every spring training he's dealing with professional football players. They've been playing the sport in many cases all their life. These are grown men. When they walk in spring camp, he was famous for always saying the first words out of his mouth, the first meeting he had with his team, he'd walk out, hold it up, and say, gentlemen, this is a football. And that's how he started every training camp. We're going to start with the basics. Gentlemen, this is a football. Now let's get started. They just won a championship the season before. Next spring training, gentlemen, this is a football. Let's get started. Because no matter what, you always begin, and the basics are brand new people, daily methods of operation, getting them into action first. Through activity, they begin the learning process. Don't teach them about the 7 skills in 20 hours before you get them started. Instantly, in a positive action, it will create result, revenue, confidence, and trust. And as they continue through the daily method of operation, then as they begin to gain those processes, you start saying, hey, listen, there's more you can think about because it's not complicated. Magic network marketing, I've always said, is it is simple to build $1 million income. It is hard work. It is not easy. Don't confuse simple and easy. It is not easy. It is a lot of hard work over an extended period of time, but it's not complicated. So stop complicating it. engage in activity, data method of operation. And as the leadership know, again, parents already know where the newborns are going to go. They just don't teach them how to be a 20-year-old when they're 6 weeks old. They teach them step by step. They already know where they're headed. And so you'll know that at the right moment in the daily operation, you start those people who are truly engaged and proven that they are, you open their minds a little more and say, listen, here's where we're going with this. This daily method of operation is getting you into a consistent habit of committed, consistent effort. Because by doing this, what's going to happen is we are going to now share with you that there are 7 skills you want to target. It takes 20 hours to be good. Don't worry about being great. Great happens when you let other people be good. How do you be good? Then focus, and so you know, let's schedule your year. Let's break it down. Let's schedule your month. Let's schedule the week, and let's take a look at it in the next couple of days. Here it is, and it's just simple, consistent effort worked in around whatever you're currently doing, not having to dramatically alter anything that is your current daily operational process. Your lifetime, your family, your kids, your social, your religious, your spiritual, your community commitments. It doesn't have to interrupt any of that. We're going to squeeze in effective time slots, the other things, follow daily method of operation. We're going to be consistent. We're going to have fun. We're going to laugh a lot. We're just going to be serious about being committed to this good quality focused effort. We're going to build on this daily method of operation, and here's where we're going. And getting the entire team back focused on that. When all that happens, that's when and now you got people on these diamond runs, and that's what it's all about. And that's where success duplicates. You know, doTERRA's on just a phenomenal run as a company on a global scale, and it's great to see you're on a great team. So there you go. Those are the thoughts. Step back, take a look at everything, break it down to the basics, go back to brand new people. Learning is through activity, not through learning first and activity second, and then follow the simple processes. Duplicate. Continue to rock and roll, because Romy and Mark are, they've said there's a whole lot of diamonds they got to be creating, and they can't do it by themselves. It's part of a team effort. And team mindset can actually lead to a lot of that stuff. So there you go. Those are the thoughts from Hong Kong as I get ready to pack and throw a few things in the bag and head to the airport here in a couple hours and head back to the States.
That was awesome. One of the things that I really liked for some reason was when you said hit the stopwatch when you start talking when you're dialing. There's so many times that
when he talks about 20 hours of effort, it's the real effort, not the other stuff.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of that, as many people are. It's like, well, I've been working a lot of hours. But what are we doing?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When you talk about, when people say, I've been working, I put lots of hours in, but really what is the activity that you're doing when you're putting those hours in?
Sure. I mean, obviously Lisa's done a lot of training with teams as well, and one of the things that she says that it's a great perspective. She's taught it at some of the big trainings at GoPro and things. People have 1 or 2 people say no, and it makes them so dejected they quit. When the real perspective should be, what if you just changed your mindset and you were ecstatic about the first 100 people you talk to saying no? The first 100 say no. But what if you just simply, again, nobody shot your dog, nobody died, they just said no. Okay, but here's the perspective. Here's the difference between those who rise to the level of Blue Diamond and those who never do. What if you chose to look at it differently and say, that is so awesome. Maybe even you send a thank you note to all 100. Why? If it really was 100 true conversations where you're focusing, remember, you marry the process divorce the result. I don't care if they say yes or no. I'm marrying this process in that with a servant heart, I'm coming to them to express a message, have a conversation, and engage, not in getting them to do anything. I want to get them as a customer. I want to get them as a team member. I want to get them to buy anything. I want to give them from a servant heart position. I want to give them value through information and education So I'm giving them the opportunity to make a choice. Yes, I want to try your product. No, I don't. Yes, I want to try your opportunity. No, I don't. But what if all 100 say no, but you sent all of them a magnificent, gorgeous thank you card because after you have actually engaged 100 times in conversation, when you prepare now to begin mentally, let's say, your business with your 101st, imagine how good you are when you speak to them. So it's some of those kinds of perspectives. That's why, yeah, you start the stopwatch when the conversation starts, not when the phone starts ringing, because the phone ringing is of no growth value to you. It's not truly the actual activity. He said you have 20 hours of actual, true, effective, active engagement with the task or the thing you're trying to be good at, you can become good. Great? Elite, that's 10,000 hours. But at 20 hours, you can be good, and most people never make it past an hour. Because most people have 2 5-minute conversations, people say no, or 3-minute conversations, people say no, and they quit and walk away. Hang on a second. Why would you expect to have any reasonable result unless you were at least good? So you got to get through 20 hours of conversation to be good at conversation. You get through 20 hours of invitation to become good at invitation. You get through 20 hours of building for events before you're good at building for events. You won't be great at building for events. You won't be elite at building for events, but you'll be good at building for events. So as you look at those 7 skills and all this stuff, it's just give yourself a bit of a break. But if you follow these daily methods of operation, you can move into income activity, not gigantic income activity. They're rewarding you for the effort while you're learning, and then just gaining the perspective of, listen, it's about becoming better, so then the results are better. And have fun. Just have a good time with it. My gosh, you're giving people levels that are improving their life. Laugh about it, enjoy it, giggle with them, chuckle occasionally. It's not, again, don't shot anybody's dog. You're okay. Just keep going.
Yep. Practice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good. So there you go. Those are kind of the thoughts for the week.
And good thoughts they are. We're
so
really.
Where are you guys right now?
We're in Kalispell, Montana.
Kalispell, Montana. Oh, this is a good time of year to be that far north too.
Yeah. The weather has been lovely. Had thunderstorms this afternoon. Going to go to Glacier Park Friday on the motorcycles.
Oh, Glacier National Park is beautiful. I've been years and years, but I spend time running between Butte all the way over to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and so I traversed that part of the country many times. Blue Sky, Montana. In fact, I used to drive through Montana when this is so long ago. That was when the speed limit during the daytime literally was posted as reasonable and prudent. There actually wasn't a number. Now, there was a number at night, but during the daytime it was reasonable and prudent. And I actually, at 93 miles an hour once, I was slowly creeping past the state trooper who was probably going about 90. And we just looked at each other, nodded, because it was the two of us and probably some elk somewhere that were nowhere in sight. So at that moment it was reasonable and prudent.
So that's about 18 years ago.
Huh?
That was about 18 years ago.
Thanks for pointing that out. Yes, actually, I was thinking it was really back in the it really was. It was back in the very early.
It was 90s. When I first got married.
yeah, you're right. It was it was late 80s, early 90s. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I actually graduated from Libby, so it was. So you
it's been over 20 years. Yeah, but actually it was in the early 90s. It was around probably 90,
96, 97.
Yeah, but I was probably doing it back in 92, 93, somewhere in there. But it was so funny. I actually took a picture. I stopped, got out, took a picture of my camera. I got to show this to people. Speed limit, reasonable and prudent.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had the German Autobahn. It was just in Montana. So.
Awesome.
All right, well, good. We'll enjoy Glacier National Park, and listen, I'll be. I'm not sure if next week it'll be me or Lisa, but it'll be one of us. But if it's me, it'll be from Dallas, and I'll be in the evening time with you. And if it's Lisa, she'll be coming back at you from Hong Kong.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. Absolutely. It's always fun. Yeah,
right.
Love you guys. Have fun. Enjoy Montana.
All right.
All right.